But I do want to get people's thoughts if they did watch the HRO hearing of basically there was only one today. Did anyone expect it to go like the way it went? Like a full-on like trial?
I thought it wouldn't. I thought they wouldn't hear. I thought it would get thrown out before like a lot of the large evidence would go in. But because they decided to hear the stuff, then of course it's going to go on forever. It's going to be hours. And Patrick's one's going to be even longer.
I have a theory about this, Moody, because the judge commented on how many people were watching the trial. It was the first thing he said. He's like, "Oh, we got a big room in here today. A lot of people watching."
I think he's at least going to become a new fan of this little Piggy, because he said he's going to have to go back and watch this and see what's going on. I mean, how could you not be interested when you see what was happening on that stage and after hearing everything? The HRO hearing did start, though, with a very serious matter. It was an actual woman who was filing an HRO against her ex-husband or current husband, to protect her and her kids, which put everything in perspective that the next one on the docket was Aaron Imholte.
I guess like that sort of summarizes how kind of gross all of this is. Like, we have fun and it's fun to goof on Aaron, but what he's done here is he's occupied so much court time that could be actually used for victims of actual abuse. This was supposed to take half an hour. It took 3 hours, and it's going to take another half a day at a later point, and that's not including Patrick's one. So, I mean, this is time he's taking away from actual abuse victims just because he got his fifis hurt.
Because they literally and they literally said, well, we're just going to lump Patrick's in with like Nick's, like at least for the next court date, which they said would be very far down the road. Crazy.
So is that why Patrick's not here with us today?
That is why Patrick is not here with us. The judge also ordered that none of the principal people involved with the case were allowed to talk about it.
That's too bad, because Nick was dressed for this show today. He was looking slick. He was on camera ready.
I was supposed to be a witness today. I think Patrick's been advised to not speak, but I don't think he was ordered by the judge. The judge was more talking about the case with Nick, but he's just been advised to not speak. So he'd had to replace him by weight, which is why we've needed 2 guests.
So it started out, Aaron's lawyer presented his evidence, sort of. There were a lot of problems with the evidence. Apparently, Nick's lawyer wasn't getting some of the evidence that Aaron's lawyer said they presented like days ago. Yeah, and so that was to take a lot of breaks to figure that kind of stuff out.
Yeah, so Aaron's had 2 lawyers for this case. So the previous lawyer apparently submitted a bunch of evidence, which a few days ago he stopped sharing that. So the Mendez system that they've got, which is I think Minnesota something evidence system, you submit all the evidence in there, but then you can choose what you can share with the opposing counsel. And he had shared some stuff, and then he'd unshared it a few days ago, so they had no access to it. So it was there was a lot of back and forth.
The first attorney shared stuff back on July 18th.
Yeah,
and we're in August 29th now, and so immediately this new attorney comes on there and he goes, well, if you look at Exhibit 23, and Nick's attorney's going, Exhibit 23, what the are you going on about? There's nothing like that in here. So it took forever for them to figure out, all right, how else can we label this thing? How can we tell you? And then they showed it up on the screen, and then Nick and his attorney had to go off aside and figure that out. It took forever to get started.
Yeah.
But then it also happened a couple other, they had to take a couple of breaks. At one point, the lawyers went into the chambers with the judge. It was very telling to me when one of the first questions to Aaron was something about his address, and Aaron's lawyer was not aware that Aaron's home address and his work address were the same address. Like, I guess he didn't realize.
It didn't seem like Aaron and his attorney has talked much at all. The guy seemed wildly unprepared, and it was kind of like a deer in headlights, just like, what is going on here?
Aaron had to admit to a couple of things that were always kind of speculation. But yeah, Aaron's own lawyer, like I said, didn't seem too hip to his client and what he actually does. Aaron said that he was was that when
he called himself a broadcaster? He was trying to say, he was like, are you a entertainer? And he was like, I'm not an entertainer, I'm a broadcaster.
And then they asked, is
Nick
a journalist?
Yeah.
He goes, is Nick also a broadcaster? And Aaron thinks about it. He goes, part-time.
That-
It's like, no one's on the internet as much as Aaron is. You got us there.
he was that was like a pattern all the way throughout where Aaron kept trying to like put the skewer into Nick. It's like it's not the time for this, bro. Like he
It's
just
not a roast battle.
when there was I'm skipping ahead, but he was like,
that's how-
oh,
we actually
where did-
we skipped ahead because that was a question from Nick's lawyer. But
Right.
yeah, in the beginning, they went into the threat. The threat that Aaron got. That's where they started. They started presenting their evidence, and one of the first things they presented was a threat of Nick telling Aaron to himself.
Yeah, there's three. I think I'll just give a really short. I keep butting in, but I'll give three.
Oh, it's
I'll
fine,
give the
please.
sort of overall what Aaron's case is. He really only had 3 bits of evidence that he was presenting. One is the self-text. The second bit of evidence that he had was a tweet that Nick was responding to someone, which is, when is your harassment campaign against Aaron going to stop? When are you going to stop talking about Aaron? And he said, I'm not going to stop until he's dead, essentially. It was like, because he's not dead yet. That's why I won't stop.
But that wasn't made to Aaron, though, correct?
No, it wasn't made
That
to
was-
Aaron. But Aaron claimed he was tagged in it earlier on, but it was cut off, so you couldn't see. So
Yeah.
we just had to sort of trust Aaron.
That was weird too. That was a big piece of this, where he's just like, "Yeah, he posted this on X. That not until I'm dead." I take that as a threat. It's like, no, we're all gonna die, Aaron.
Yeah.
He's not saying like soon. He didn't say, in a week or two.
And the third bit of evidence that Aaron had in this was hackermania, more specifically the sharing of, and this word got repeated so many times, topless photos of Aaron during hackermania.
TLESS, topless.
Aaron, you can't take topless photos, you idiots.
And private messages between Aaron and third parties that were shared without his permission.
But
so
then
that's the overall the case that Aaron was bringing forward.
So Rudy,
Yeah.
I there were parts that I missed, so I do have some blank spots here.
Yeah.
But
I've got you.
okay, good.
Yeah, we have to know.
Because there's those 3 things, but there's also a large discussion around Nick being in the courtroom for the felony charge for revenge porn, and then Nick going to Stoney's in the gym.
Yes.
And that was very interesting because it was like, did Nick think that Aaron was going to be at Stoney's? No, he was in jail.
And the judge
Yes,
got him to admit
Yeah.
that there was no way Aaron could have been at Stoney's because he was in jail and then he went home. And the judge even said, well, then you're saying that there was no way they could have thought that you were going to Stoney's.
Oh, and then he goes, could you have been at the gym when Nick was at the gym? And Aaron's like, I mean, if it was before the trial, I could
It
have been.
depended
Go
on
yourself.
day.
Yeah, you weren't going to the gym before your trial, you idiot. Stop lying.
But
Yeah,
so
there
many-
was a lot of
moments.
trust me bros. It was like, hey, this happened. I don't have evidence for it, but just trust me. Like from Aaron's side, there was a lot of that. He made a lot of claims that didn't have factual claims that didn't have any sort of evidence that supported them.
That's
you for-
what.
Yes.
I was going to say that was my issue with the actual application. Was that everything was drawing a conclusion that had not been determined yet.
Yes.
And I'm surprised, honestly, that it made it this far.
Yeah. So that's what some of the objections were about, but a lot of leniency was being given both sides. Actually,
Well-
I wasn't impressed with either lawyer. I think both lawyers made mistakes in this and weren't super well prepared. But yeah, as far as bringing facts in, it was like, if I was just judging it right after Aaron was done, it would be like you would borderline give it to him. But that's before any of it was questioned. It's like, this doesn't quite meet the threshold for harassment, but if true, then maybe. But yeah, it just sort of, there was no real smoking gun.
That was a funny thing. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, man. Maybe you'll show up to my house uninvited and do something. They're like, has he ever done that before? He's like, he's been to my house before. It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys were
He
friends.
was-
We've established that.
He was wanting protection, but it's like he was playing both sides. He was saying that in a physical context, if I was prepared, I could overpower Nick easily, but I'm afraid of him being erratic and doing something while I'm unprepared, which is why I need the protection.
Well, the thing
Despite
is,
there being any evidence of that ever happening before.
Exactly, because he's tried to say that it's because Nick was on drugs, but it never went so far as to Nick's counsel never went so far as to question him, saying Nick is currently provably not on drugs because of his court order. He gets tested all the time. Nick is more not on drugs than Aaron can be, because he'd be in jail if he was.
Well, Aaron tried to take that route almost immediately when they started asking him questions, I think, about his relationship with Nick Rekieta. And Aaron immediately tried to go into how Nick was arrested, how they were doing drugs, and the judge immediately shut that down. He was like, "That relevance, that is not relevant to this case."
Aaron tried the Kiki approach, when she said, like, I'll just go into court and I'll tell them everything that I think of this person. He's on drugs all the time and swinging, and like he tried to start listing off all the things that he didn't like and that it was like objected to. It's like stick to the threats was the message.
I found it interesting. Aaron said that he first met Nick Rekieta at a comedy stand-up concert show.
Right.
It was a nonstop action. It was really interesting.
I was kind of upset for a number of reasons, but I really wanted to get to Patrick's case. I was like, I can't wait for Patrick's case. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
It just kept going. I think this'll, like, there was just so many things being said with no real backup to it that I think at some point the judge is just going to get sick of it and be like, this is just bickering. There's no obvious, like, these two people are bickering with each other. I don't see this as
also
like
what's
a threat.
What's the end game for Aaron? What's the W here? So let's say that the restraining order remains. Nick, he didn't even travel the hour drive to be in the courtroom for this. He doesn't want to go anywhere near St. Cloud.
Anything short of Nick or Patrick not being able to discuss Aaron is a loss for Aaron. Like, Aaron's
humiliating himself over something that wouldn't even be a victory for him.
Right. Aaron wants these people to not talk about him, and that's why he filed this. If it ends up with just a physical restraining order, like, that's never going to get broken.
Doesn't matter.
And you can tell the
but
judge
it doesn't seem like he's actually framing it that way based on what you guys are describing. I mean, if that's what the win is, then he's failing very miserably.
Yes, correct.
Well, it was weird because it depended on what they were talking about. You didn't know if Aaron was trying to get, a physical HRO, or if he was more concerned with them making fun of me and, showing pictures of me. Like, I couldn't tell. And I think the judge started to realize, oh, this isn't like a physical threat. This is all just internet bullshit.
To Moody's point earlier, I just want to touch back on that, is that like you saying that you thought that the judge was going to throw his hands up and think it's, just all a bunch of nonsense. I agree with you. I think the only thing that really prevented that was the audience of people watching. I think he was a little bit more on guard, but there was a point there where I really did expect the judge to just simply say, you guys are just having an argument and there's nothing to substantiate any sort of harassment according to the elements of the law in Minnesota. Because there's nothing there.
There was so many AV
big girl panties.
There was so many AV issues and like objections and sidebars that it never really got that far. So I think that's what stopped it from reaching that today.
Right, because to your point, Luigi, Aaron made such a fuss about these topless pics. And so when it was revealed, that he participated in the event, the 3-day event that only makes fun of Aaron, according to Aaron, he testified that.
Yes.
I was there. I can tell you that there's a lot of other shows. Dr. Steve wasn't all that concerned about the topless pics during Weird Medicine. He was more concerned about Lucy Tightbox. Not the point. The point is that Aaron was so concerned about us showing those images of him. He's like, I never would have participated in this if I knew they were showing these images. What's that have to do with the harassment restraining order?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's the same, and it's the same quote unquote tactic used by another lawsuit in our universe. Just throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, regardless of its relevance.
So one of the things that Aaron's lawyer was trying to do that Aaron didn't get was he was constantly trying to lead him into saying that he was scared.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he would be asking him, like, how did receiving that text from Nick make you feel? And he was like, it's obviously threatening. I was shocked by it. And like he'd be using those sorts of words.
He goes, it was jarring.
But I mean, what the guy was like saying, he's like, yo, this is the time for you to be like, I was quivering in my boots and I couldn't sleep. I can't sleep until you protect me. This is what I need from you. But
do you think Aaron's lawyer told him that when they did that first break to figure out the evidence thing? Because when they came back, it was almost like Aaron was reading
Right.
his answer
Yeah,
at one
he
point.
he
got
was
some
reading.
coaching.
I mean, I wasn't standing behind Aaron, but it looked like he was reading rather than actually saying,
Well, I
like
know
answering the
answered-
questions.
I noted that Aaron was holding a pen in his hand, and he's like, during the beginning of it, like he's sitting there, like scratching down notes, like
Aaron's-
this is probably the way we should go with this. Talking to his attorney.
His posture during the entire trial was, it went from, he was like this to begin with, like for the first half an hour. It switched to this a couple times. He was like this. And then like that. He was constantly.
I have a question because this is what we all want to know when it pertains to Aaron. Does this trial dragging on and then having a second part coming up, is this going to cost him a lot more money?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
John DiCaprio was sequestered because he's
Yeah,
he's a witness.
Okay.
So he can't talk, right?
No. He said that the principal participants can't talk. So I don't think that includes witnesses, does it?
I don't know. Are you
Is
in trouble? then?
is the hearing up on Ethan Ralph's Rumble page yet? Where can I find this?
Well, he did. He tried today. He did
Yes.
use the Opster defense, the Robin Ophelia Quivers defense that, on my show, it's different. That is not real life. I say that I don't care about the trolling on my show, but what did he say, Mooney?
I've written the quote down. So he said, "When I say the trolls don't bother me, that's intended to misdirect or stop them. But in real life, it's different."
I cry myself to sleep, Your Honor.
I can't imagine being the judge and hearing things like that and then just not ending the case.
But that was also a very frustrating point because then Nick's attorney did not have the link to that video. Well, they had the link,
That sucked.
but they only had it as like a text. So
Yes.
they didn't actually have the link to the video. And then they were claiming that the video was deleted, but we found out
It's
that it's not deleted.
not.
Yeah.
And
then Nick's attorney was paraphrasing it.
yes, I
He
know.
paraphrased it so bad.
I
Like,
know. And Aaron took that as, oh, well, I never said and up and down and whatever it was.
he managed to turn a smoking gun into a he said, she said.
I know,
Where
it
the
was
she is Aaron.
I wanted to see that video so bad.
Well,
we can
funny you
wait
say
for-
that.
They'll have the opportunity though at the
Oh.
continued hearing.
So this is actually bad news. So the loss for the toe today, if you want to call it that, is that
Impossible.
the hearing today stopped, like it was adjourned during cross-examination of Aaron. So that means that cross-examination is going to continue the next time that the case is open. So that gives him so much time to prepare, maybe submit new evidence that is going to utterly destroy things that Aaron has did, because he's absolutely perjured himself multiple times today.
So here is the clip in question that Nick's lawyer wanted to play after Aaron explained, I don't care about the trolling online, but in my personal life, it hurts me deeply.
Nick Rekieta told me I could piss on your show. $5 from Anonymous Fake Dono says, do you have an order of protection against Nick? His anger during his exchange with...
Oh, excuse me. No, this was to a different question.
Right. This was, are you afraid of Nick?
Right.
Nick's lawyer asked Aaron, are you afraid of Nick? And Aaron's quote was, yes, I am.
He said, yes, I am. But then he clarified. He said, in a physical fight, I could beat him, but if I'm unprepared, it'll be difficult.
Right, which started to sway, what is this? Like, are you afraid of him physically? Or are you afraid you just don't want him to make fun of you?
Yeah.
Like, he was contradicting himself constantly. So that's what this clip was. This is the clip
But
that...
real quick, has there ever been an HRO filed where they're asked, "Are you scared of him?" I mean, I could take him in a fight, but
Right.
Has anyone ever responded that way?
Case closed, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Dang,
that's another
stupid
issue.
hammer.
Is because as a matter of law, one of the elements is that a person has to be frightened or intimidated, and for him to put up such a fight to say that he's not, or to perjure himself, I don't know why this is even continuing.
That's why there'll never be a restraining order against me. No one thinks I'm going to beat him up.
They couldn't, if they played
Sweep
this
the
video.
leg.
If they played this video today, I don't think that there would have been a continuance, but they just couldn't get to it. But I'm sure they'll
He
play
was-
it next time.
concerning. If Nick ever showed his face anywhere near me, which he never would,
Uh-oh.
I ain't going to be
Whoops.
the one who's going to need protection if he tries
Oopsie.
to pull that shit.
Oh, no.
This
I
is
ain't
1
doing
month
nothing.
before he filed this. 1 month.
Right.
on
He
his
said-
side.
He said this is 1 month after,
beat
1
him
month
up.
before he filed it, but about 4 weeks or 3 weeks after he said that the concerning behavior began
Right, with that tweet.
with the Hackmania.
Nick the Worm Rekieta. Like I said, if we wanted to save Creator Clash with that card, with that fight, in order to make it fair, round 1, no punching from me. Round 2, southpaw. If he can't get the job done by round 3, I'll put him out of his misery. I mean, he shows up in my driveway if he tried some shit. I am not. You know, one of the wonderful things about knowing how to fight is you don't have to brag about knowing how to fight.
Wait, what just happened?
The sad thing is that this is going to be an in-person hearing if Nick's lawyer gets what he wants, which is he wants it to be in person. So we won't be able to see the judge react to this. But holy shit, if they manage to play that,
Say it
would
ain't
have
so,
been over.
Moody. That's the worst news I've heard all day.
You know, Aaron's potential counter argument to that is, well, again, when I'm on my show, I just have to talk. I have to talk a big talk so that I can get everybody to stop. But then the obvious counter argument to that is, well, yeah, maybe Nick did that also.
Right. That is what he said.
Any
Establishing
argument-
they're all performers. Yeah.
Yeah, any
Right.
argument is he's
All right.
out of water.
So I missed the end of this. So I got to get up to speed. So the continuance, we don't have a date on yet.
No.
No, they're going to talk about
And they're
that.
going to try to do it so that it's not on Zoom court.
So
So are we all making a road trip to Minnesota? I mean, are we going to this or not? I'm in. Let's go.
One of the things that happened at the end, so they were discussing back and forth over what to do, but Nick went offline, like he closed his camera before that happened, and he was using OBS virtual camera to like stream, to sort of put his video feed into Zoom. But the court registrar saw the OBS logo and she's like, that's a recording logo. So she kicked Nick out of the courtroom before that happened. And she alerted the court that Nick had to be kicked out because he was recording and she could see the recording software. And at that point, the judge closed everything down and is like, we're just going to continue this later. And he can't talk about it.
Yeah, Nick was doing that because he wanted to play super tips during the court hearing.
But yeah, so I thought it was Aaron's lawyer who wanted the in-person stuff. It was Nick's lawyer?
Yes, Nick's lawyer.
Okay. Because then
Nick's
the judge
lawyer
also...
wants Nick's want to be in person and Patrick's want to be remote.
Okay.
Oh, okay. As long as we can see Patrick's. All right. I'm back in.
There was another issue that Aaron's team brought up that we haven't really talked about much. And I don't know how this is relevant to anything, but it was about how Nick described Aaron's genitalia in disgusting detail. Why is any of that relevant?
It's not. And it's really shocking the way that the HRO application was filled out when he says words like might or maybe or I don't know. It's like those are the words you should not be using when trying to make a persuasive argument. And those are specifically what he used when he talked about his genitals being described. He says, I don't know what his fascination is, something to that effect. And I don't, once again, I don't know how it's gotten this far.
It was also odd when the judge was trying to figure out what the relationship was. So what's your relationship with Nick Rekieta? Well, we were friends. Okay.
Complicated.
He kept saying it's complicated. Just like we were swinging. Just get it out there because we're going to talk
each
about your
other's
genitalia.
wives.
Yes.
Yes, I noticed that too. It was very odd. Aaron was
Embarrassed.
definitely trying not to get that brought up. And this was a part where I thought that Nick's lawyer was going to use, as Moody calls it, the cum card. Because I thought he was going to say, well, it was your relationship with Mr. Rekieta maybe a little more than just friends who hung out, like something like that. I really thought he was going to get to that because they said, they were like, why would there be a instance where you guys are even discussing your genitalia?
Right.
And Aaron never said like, oh, well, we used to play Naked Twister and I was ashamed of it. And I also his wife and he mine and I watched and then I licked this cum off of my wife. Judge, it was a party. You should have been there. Yeah, I don't know why Nick's lawyer didn't maybe lead him more towards that.
He almost did. He asked him who is April and what is Mr. Rekieta's relationship with April, but it never
Right.
quite got further than that.
He gave
And
up on it.
And he also let Aaron get away with saying that the relationship broke down in like mid-April, as opposed to April actually left Aaron for Nick.
Yeah,
Like
that
she
was never brought
ran
up.
away. Yeah.
Like that would have been a significant
Right.
piece of evidence.
He stole his wife.
Right. Because when the judge was starting to realize, because the judge didn't know, I don't think, that Aaron had a pending case against Kayla Rekieta, who is the wife of who Aaron claims is stalking him. Like, I don't think the judge understood that, but he started to get an idea, once they started talking about that.
The judge was not prepared for how complicated this situation was.
No, not at all.
That
Neither were
became
the attorneys.
very obvious. Yeah, neither were the attorneys. And now that I'm thinking about it in retrospect, I think the judge literally just might have been overwhelmed with the complicated nature of this.
Yeah. But Aaron answered the wrong question. So Nick's attorney asked him, or the judge stopped Nick's attorney from asking questions about the genital information, because he's like, he shared information about my genitals. He didn't say he shared pictures of my genitals, just information. And so the
Nor
judge...
does he say, just real quick, I'm sorry, nor does he say accurate information about my
Right.
genitals. Yeah.
So the judge asked Aaron, and he's like, I'm going to ask this question, and then this line of questioning will stop. He said, did you ever have an agreement or a discussion about sharing details or information about each other's genitals outside of the relationship?
Wow.
And Aaron said, no, of course not. No. Which I think he was saying, like, were you allowing each other to speak about that? But Aaron ended up saying, no, we've never discussed not being allowed to talk about each other's genitals.
Wow.
And the video that they linked from this little piggy, there was like a back and forth objections to it because the context wasn't there. And then Aaron's lawyer described it as Nick had reservations about telling the story about Aaron's genitals, but then the hosts of the show, i.e. us, egged him on, and then he spoke. So I don't know how that helps Aaron much, because it sounds like...
because we're good hosts. That's how I interpret that.
Well
Doesn't
done.
help him at all. Yeah.
Right, but it's like Aaron Nick's not going out of his way to speak about this stuff. It's people
Right.
egging him on in order to do that. Like, it's this erratic behavior that you're talking about. You're not making a good case for that.
There was another instance where Nick's lawyer let Aaron get away with something because he asked Aaron, have you ever harassed anyone on your show?
Great question.
And somehow it got back to the topless pictures and
Right.
Aaron's consent. And they never went back to that. And as we all know, Aaron directed his audience at one point to go after a female radio host in Iowa. But they never got to that. So that was disappointing. But another highlight, which I just remembered, was when they brought up Nick Rekieta going to Coach Scott's gym.
Yes.
They said, did you submit any evidence of this? Like video of him at Coach Scott's gym? It's like, no, we didn't. But Melton talked about it on his show. Melton posted about it. They're like, yeah, but did you present it as evidence in this case? Well, no, but it's in the Melton case.
And that was one of the first
things.
gotcha moments for Nick's attorney when for Aaron's attorney, when Nick's attorney said, so you're stipulating something of which there is evidence, but you haven't provided that evidence in this case. And he was like, yes, that's what's happening. That Coach Scott line of that showing up at the gym line of questioning was very interesting to me, because Nick's attorney he asked Aaron, have you ever told or made Nick aware that he wasn't welcome at the gym that both of you went to? And Aaron said, I didn't think it was necessary because the relationship breakdown was so bad that we shouldn't, like, it's sort of
You can't be friends with my friends anymore.
Right. And so he was like, no, but did you ever tell him? Like, it's free to the public. They can go. Did you ever tell? He's like, no, like, why would I say that to someone who's vaguely stalking me, vaguely threatening me?
That's right. Yeah.
He used the term vaguely threatening. And so...
Yes, vague.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Nick's attorney was like, vaguely. He's vaguely threatening you.
vaguely.
So we're here because he is vaguely threatening you. Is that what's...
He's implying there might be a vague threat somewhere.
So it's always he this Aaron's bravado. It's the thing that'll come back to bite him in the ass. We've said this over and over again. It's him trying to say that he's winning and he's much stronger than everyone else around him. And this case is centered around him having to say that he's scared and he needs the state's assistance and the court's assistance because of how scared he is.